Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gut Girls podcast. Today's episode is incredibly special to me because it's not just professionally that this is an amazing, we have a guest host on today. It's not just an amazing testimonial and story, but personally being able to work and walk alongside someone over the years and watch them transform and grow is something that Diana and this is our purpose. This is our drive in life. So to have this guest speaker on today, we are going to share a story that does span years. It reminds us that really healing it's not a quick fix. It's not an overnight journey. It's not about finding just the perfect, let's say, one food, perfect, bulletproof supplement, or getting the lab result right, finding seeking the diagnostic test that changed everything. This is a whole body approach transformation that we are diving in today about. So I am so excited. Diana is on the podcast, as you guys know, and I want to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker, Mark Andre, who is coming all the way from Florida. So Mark, welcome. Tell
Thank
us a
you.
little bit about yourself for everyone listening.
So yeah, this was a very interesting, I guess, journey that I wasn't expecting. Because I was always been very big into fitness, and I thought fitness was, prep some meals, prep some chicken, prep some broccoli, you're good to go. Never thought I would have any issues, and lo and behold, the way the Lord would have it, I'm actually thankful for these issues because I'm very thankful for having met you, and it just kind of recomposed a lot of the way I viewed things, not just in fitness, but just across all walks. So I think sometimes the Lord lets things happen to us for a reason, and kind of, my what initially just started as little gut issues expanded into this is really cool. It's really cool how the body works, and to the point where I'm excited about when someone comes to me that they have some gut issues. I'm like, here, go to Angela, trust me, it'll change you. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, there's not much to say. Big into fitness, big into ministry in the Lord, and this has definitely been a journey that I've done with my wife. Praise God that I have a wife that has been a rock. Call me out when you need to be called out, and also I've been able to help her with some stuff too. Like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should step back on eating this and certain things. So yeah, that's
I love
basically.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love hearing too. It was an unexpected journey, but yet you're grateful for it. And it sounds like you've had a lot of support. So, right off the bat, just reminding our listeners that you're not meant to do this in isolation, right? It's meant to be a community thing. So, let's start with to kind of dive in. Marc Andre, when did your symptoms start? Because I think we had probably started working. I think I looked back and it might have been 2022, if I'm correct, somewhere around there. When did
Yeah.
you kind of start having symptoms? Can you share, like, how long were you dealing with those symptoms
Sure.
before maybe you and I even connected?
Absolutely. So, I did actually end up with an immune disorder for about, let's say 7 years, 8 years. And obviously, it's kind of common knowledge now that most immune disorders are gut-based. I just didn't know it at the time. Now, looking back, it's like, wow, no wonder. Like, I'm surprised that's all I had. But that actually resolved right at the end of 2019. That doctor declared me completely free of it and all good. 2020 happens. Obviously, everybody had their own story of 2020. Mine, I had some herniated discs, and then when I wasn't sure how to resolve that. I started taking a lot of painkillers, just a slew of painkillers. So really, even though I had previously an immune disorder, I didn't necessarily have gut problems per se. But in 2020, I ended up with stomach ulcers, and that was not fun at all. I ended up going to, the usual route. You go to your doctor. I went to a gastroenterologist. They put me on acid blockers. Went that route, and when it really started to get kind of, I guess, annoying, is when I was like, okay, how do I come off of them? He's like, no, no, I have people that have been on them for 20 years, so there's no issue. And I was like, I don't think you understand. I don't want to be on a medication if I don't have to. I know there's a way to get off these. How do I do it? And that's what probably the first time in my life I realized, oh my goodness, my doctor isn't hearing what I'm saying. He just wants to keep me on this medication and send me on my way. So then I went the DIY route. That was 2021. I happened to meet Matt, who is actually who recommended you, but as I was seeing him, that he was a great chiropractor, good on knowledge of the body, I would constantly tell him like, I can't figure out this gut stuff. I'm just constantly backed up. Sometimes I'll drink water and it upsets it. Like, this doesn't make sense. Is my water poison? What's going on? And that would have been 2022 that he referred me to you. So, well, I guess we're 2026 now, right? And I remember within the week, like, obviously every time something's good, I always tell my wife like, this is super powered, something's going on. Because I remember in detail that the very first session I had with you that I was looking forward to, what supplement is she going to tell me? What food is she going to tell me I got to introduce? And all you did was tell me cut, 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 cut. And I was kind of like, yeah, but you didn't tell me to take anything. And within like 3 days, I started having bowel movements, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. All she did was tell me to remove some stuff, and my system started to restore. So yeah, that was 4 years ago. I remember where I was standing when I realized that, like right in the kitchen. I remember just kind of telling my wife like, this is insane. She didn't add a single thing. I removed stuff. I removed stuff that was healthy, right? All the extra probiotic things that everybody thinks, and they can be helpful depending on the person, depending on the time. But all it was removing a bunch of stuff that my gut was not ready for, and I just had no idea. And that's what got me kind of falling in love with like, there's a lot more to this than just eat some kombucha and some kimchi and you're good. So yeah, it's been about 4 years now, right? Yeah, 4 years.
That's amazing. Well, and that like so Diana, like I do want to pull you in for a second because how crazy that I mean, very similar stories in the sense like you were on ibuprofen, just kind of like how he was popping it all. And it's funny, Marc Andre, you might not even know Diana's full story, but like the broccoli thing, like I mean, man, I remember Diana coming to me and being like, but I'm eating all the healthy fibrous foods. And isn't this what everyone does, right? You like you read online, you Google Dr. Google, and it's like, but wait, I'm doing everything it says. So Diana, you can relate to that.
Oh man, I mean, literally, and when he was talking about saying I can remember exactly where I was in my kitchen, that's exactly, you and I have that conversation all the time from 2017. I can remember so much, and because it's so important, it's such an important time in our life, and just this aha moment that you're like, I got it. And I'm just blown away by it. And your story does sound very similar to mine. I was actually eating broccoli, like she was saying, I was eating broccoli every single day. And I think we lost Angela. We'll wait till she comes back on. But I was eating broccoli every single day. And I was like proud of it, because I was like, oh,
Yep.
it's gotta be good. I was doing turkey meat and broccoli and then I realized, oh my gosh, when she said, you're eating broccoli every day. And then I kind of had the same thing as you because I was super constipated. And like so much that I've shared on here that, I did enemas and laxatives and all the things, And so once you get to that point where you're like, I don't have to do that anymore, you
Yeah.
definitely remember those moments,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
I'm going to butt in and just say, can you guys hear me? Because
Yes.
I think we're all back. Okay. And so let me also just say, so I'm glad that you guys can relate because I know listeners are also like, oh my gosh, that sounds just like me. And so we've heard Diana's physical and emotional, kind of like where she was in her journey. But Marc Andre, I want you to tell me, like, emotionally, it's interesting when you said, like, I was at the doctor's realizing, like, he didn't actually have a plan for me to get better. Emotionally, like, just speak to me in that moment, how that hit you, because our listeners go through that all the time.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. So for me, it's just the way it's happened, and I think it's something the Lord's done to right when hardships come your way, rejoice, for it gives your endurance a chance to grow. I love that because I've had to live through it. Everything hit me all at once. It was gut. I was still dealing with back pain. I was still dealing with neck pain. Um, I was having sleep disorders and just everything you could think of aside from broken bones and like the really extreme like cancer diseases. I was dealing with it all in one shot. So I was not in a good place emotionally. And then that's again why I hark back to my wife is a rock because she had to suffer watching through that, not knowing what else to do. All we knew was, like you said, Dr. Google, and it's like, all right, try this probiotic, this one, this one, this one. Let's see what happens. So emotionally, I felt defeated, desperate, and unheard
Mm.
because no matter how many times I would go to typical doctor, who that's where you go for to help you, it was just kind of, hey, this is just how you're going to live and on this medication. And knowing that, I mean, I'm sure it was the Lord, but knowing that my immune disorder had already healed, I'm like, hold on, if this could heal, then there's something. There's something I could be doing. Like, am I really taking care of my body? Am I just listening to the really nice Band-Aid that you gave me? And I think that's where it kind of, yeah, that was the kind of I'm not going to take no for an answer type situation, um, where
Well,
I
and
was. Go
let
ahead.
me ask you, did you, I think if I remember correctly, there was a lot of fear too, like around food for you at that time, was there not?
Absolutely. As I said, there was a point where I still don't actually know what it was, but there was a point where I would drink water and it would like when you're I'm sure anyone can relate when you're constipated, there's certain things that they feel like they're not adding to the constipation. Water felt like it would add to it. Just sips of water. I'm not talking chugging like a gallon. I'm saying I'd have a sip and it felt like it just increased the backup. And that was bewildering to me because I'm like, okay, hold on, water. So now I have to be careful with water. I was avoiding breads. I was avoiding for sure anything acidic, right? The general stuff, but I was avoiding stuff that really isn't dangerous. I didn't know. I was almost trying to live on supplements and seeing what I could get out of
Mm.
that because this has to be friendly on the gut. It's not going to digest. It's not going to need to digest. Like I was almost avoiding whole foods, but entirely. I was trying to just supplement my way out of it. So yeah, it created this complete fear association with anything food related. We'd go out and I wouldn't order because I'd be scared that whatever I ordered was just going to make it worse. It wasn't even so much getting better. I just didn't want to get even worse. And
Hmm.
I think that was the fear that now I wasn't looking for a solution. I was just looking for ways to not feel even worse than I already do.
To
Kind
like
of just
survive, essentially.
basically almost
Yeah.
accepting, okay, this is just my life and I just have to avoid things forever.
Yeah. So when you reached out, was there a hesitation or fear around like, what if this doesn't work? Or like, gosh, I don't even know what to expect. Like, was there a fear around reaching out for help at that point?
So in my particular case, no, only because of the person who recommended you.
Mm.
Because they had helped me with a lot of physical ailments and like I had tears in their office when they had like helped stuff get loose and I was like, I didn't think I would ever see this again. I didn't think I'd ever be able to raise my hand again. So because I trusted them and they're like, hey, Angela's really good with gut. Just trust me. I'm like, and she's a friend of my wife's. I'm like, okay, all right, great. In that case, to me, it was like, oh, good, someone else, but they're an expert specifically on gut. So for me in particular, I was fortunate that I already had um, some exposure to someone that understood the body. They just didn't understand the gut as well. And so I think
Hmm.
that made it a good segue into I'm going all in, feet first. I know this will be fine. But
So I'm going to rephrase that question because I think a lot of people that don't have the good referral, right, are probably, yeah, they're probably where you were. And I hear how
yeah,
much fear you had with like, man, just trying to not eat food, fear around like you were in survival. What
yeah.
would you say to that person that's like, I can't imagine spending another dollar on something that's not going to work. And, there's like that just is hesitant to reach out. Like, what would you say to that person?
Well, I think something that I would say because even with other things it's driven me, the gut one was a referral, but um, if you are desperate, right? If you are feeling at that, I'm quite literally I'm at my wit's end. I've got nothing else. Then what does it hurt to give it one last shot with someone that clearly um, I think testimonials are huge, right? Like so in this case, hearing from me, Dan is a phenomenal test to see someone that's now helping people. To me, there's like nothing bigger. Like oh, there you go. Um, so I think it's almost there's a phrase that I heard a long time ago. Either the pain of remaining who you are, right? You only change when the pain of remaining who you are is greater than the pain of who you could be, right? Or the
Mm.
fear of who you could be. And I think that's something that's in that moment. I've seen people who don't want to try something new out of fear. Like I don't want to spend more money. I don't want to. And it's kind of, I understand it because I've been there, but at the same time, okay, have you tried absolutely everything? I know this sounds like one more thing, but just give it. A lot of times, that one last go that you give it, right? Even the Bible says, "Do not relent," right? For you, basically, to keep planting seeds. In the same breath, just plant that one extra seed because you never know what it will do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not so much to me. I didn't even necessarily think so much of the money thing as much as a knowledge thing. Like I want to understand, and if I can be just explained a little, like why this didn't work, why did the uh, kimchi not work, why did the probiotic not work, like
Yes.
just why did the right thing not work? That alone, I think, is enough to okay, hold on. Then this person right away, like I would associate whoever's telling me that why it didn't work, I would already associate, hold on, they're an expert in this because now I'm not just throwing darts at the wall. I think that's what we all end up in with gut issues, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've had them, but I have plenty of friends and family that have done it, and they'll do the same route. They just go, oh, okay, well, I'm taking a line, and it should be helping. I'm taking this, and it's like, hopefully the dart lands. But if you want to really understand it, you got to know what's going on with you specifically. Why?
And so tell me, so what you're talking about, Marc Andre, is really key because so Diana and I with the Gut Girls, we really love the GI map. And I'm not saying it is the test of the ages, right? But what we have fallen in love about it over the years is it helps us see where someone's nervous system is. So it takes it beyond like, hey, you have a parasite. Hey, you don't have good bacteria, enough good bacteria. Hey, you've got this or that to like, okay, why wasn't the broccoli working for you? Like
Yeah.
why was the water causing you to fill this back up in your chest and in your stomach? So explain to me, I want to hear just a little bit about like what stood out to you about that experience of looking at a test and then being able to see it through the lens of like, oh, helps explain the why, the nervous system, right? Like, speak to me a little bit about that because if no one's ever done a GI map, like they're just like, this can't be what it is that they say. So tell me a little bit about that.
So yeah, especially at first, right? Because I remember the first time I did it. I was. It's funny that most people will associate blood work with telling you what's going on in your body, but that's where it almost stops. So I think when the GI map first came out, or first came to my attention, it's like, okay, how is that? Why don't we do blood work? Well, I'm surprised why she didn't ask me to do blood work, because blood work would tell it. And I think for me at least, associating that and visually seeing it's funny how simple it works, but those colors on there, just seeing red and green, and this is in yellow, and this is in red, and this is in red, it's like, huh. It's very eye-opening. I'm a very visual learner, and I'm sure a lot of people are, but seeing something simplistic as colors, like, hey, green is where we want to be on this one, this one, this one, and going through one by one, explaining which one is affected by, or which one takes an effect on the nervous system, which one affects here, which one could possibly affect sleep. I think it just ties in a lot of the questions, right? Because when you end up in those situations where I almost want to call it in permanent panic over food, it just raises it opens the floodgate to questions. Why this? Why not that? Why is this working? Why not that? Why doesn't this work? Why does this work? What do I have? What's wrong with me? What's going on? And you just end up in this nasty cycle, constantly questioning. The GI map helps start filling some of those answers, and I think it starts to calm down that why, or as opposed to why. It starts becoming, oh, could it? Could it? Could it? Right? That alone opens up a much more positive possibility as opposed to a freak out of I have no idea what's going on. It's like, hey, this might be right. Hey, this might be good. So that GI map I think was just my wife's done it too. It was eye opening to see things on there that one without knowledge would never think of. I remember her test. She had some things that were referring to potential for pregnancy down the line, and it's like never would have guessed it. To me, blood work was the one single staple, and knowing that, oh no, wait, there's a lot more. I did not realize how much the gut affected until
Yeah.
you kind of see it on paper. Like, wait, the gut can do that? Who would think of that? The gut just takes
Yeah.
food and just spits it out. That's it.
So we talk about the gut being like the second brain, which is really what I
Hmm.
think you're saying. You get to see that on the GI map of like,
Yeah.
oh, this is how I'm going through life, right? This is how I'm
Hmm.
perceiving the world around me. So would you say it helped you basically connect that fear? Because we started talking in earlier in the podcast how much fear there was in your journey. Did it help you connect that fear to why, like you said, the why I'm responding this way, right? Like it put the puzzle together for you, right?
1,000%. And for myself in particular, if anyone else listening has it, but I remember I'd read about H. pylori, had no idea about it aside from the fact that I had mine very high and I had stomach ulcers, and my mind said H. pylori bad. Just H. pylori bad. Don't ever do it. Nope. Get away from it. It's horrible. That's why you have stomach ulcers. But to see on the GI map of where it was, especially on the tail end of my nervous system healing, that hey, this is actually responsible, and look how it's changed. It's like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm not instantly jumping to fear anymore because now I have an ideal amount of it. It's one thing to hear someone say it and see your specific exact gut, a snapshot of your gut, if you will, right? At that exact moment, and realizing, oh, no wonder I'm calm here now. No wonder I don't freak out here now. Like, look, it's at a good level. Like, that makes sense now. So
Yeah.
I think it connects a lot of the dots.
I love that. And I will mention too, because if people are listening, they might, I want to say, like, when you mentioned, like, why not blood work? Just so you guys know that are listening, blood work is, the body is so amazing at keeping blood levels regulated. It's like, that is the body's job. I always talk about blood levels or serum. They're like the superficial layer, right? So, like, my body is going to work as hard as it can to pull from other places to keep blood work regulated. So you can get blood work and everything's normal. But then you look more local at the gut and you're like, oh, wait, that's where everything was being pulled to keep my blood normal. Because when you look at the gut, you're like, it's like that's the depletion, right? That's where you've been pulling from years. That's where you've been going without support for years just to keep your blood levels regulated. So you took the deeper look to find that like root cause, which I love about the story. And what I want to mention was something that's so, I think, about you that I loved about your testimony is so talk to us about how, and you kind of touched upon it, but I want a little bit more of like, there was so much fear, but now on the other side of things, Marc Andre, when you have something happen, what is your response like now compared to what it was?
So it's kind of a lovely, like I said, it's beautiful. Sometimes I get emotional kind of talking to my wife about it, how I'm really thankful for a lot of this. Because anytime she has like, just yesterday, just to give an example, she had a weird ankle thing. I've already dealt with that. And there was no fear, there was no worry, even in trying to help her with hers. And I think it's lovely to see that when new sensations, a new tweak, whatever, that just normal things happen, right? This doesn't mean my body's bad, it's just normal things happen. I don't instantly jump into panic. I don't instantly jump into catastrophizing it, where I'm like, okay, because prior to working with you, prior to working even with Matt, I would go to the hospital. I was in so much pain, like there's something wrong. There's a blockage. There's a thing. Whatever the worst thing you could think of, that's what my brain was going for. And I wasn't even going on Google. If I would have gone on Google, I would have had 14 diagnoses. Is that yeah, this is it. I got 2 hours to live. This was just internally now a habit from the nervous system almost. So I think the relief now, even since then, right? There's times where we're air. There were a couple weeks there where I foolishly just chips and Reese's every day, and I'm like, I think I can handle this one. Well, I didn't. But there wasn't a fear associated. It was more just, oh, okay, let's just take a step back and just be gentle with my gut. There's little random tweaks that I've gotten. Oh, okay, let's just be gentle. Let's give my nervous system the attention it thinks or that it needs. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something huge that I've learned is to trust your body. Because a lot of times what that creates is almost like you're at war with your body. Why aren't you listening to me, body? Why are you fighting me? Which almost just feeds a loop. And anytime a new sensation, anytime a new sensation would show up, instant panic. I need to go to the hospital. Something's wrong. I know something's wrong. Whereas now a new sensation that shows up, it's like, oh, okay. All right, let's just move on. Let's see how do I take care of this one. If I have to even
So
address it.
Yeah, it sounds like I would say like you're learning the language. It's right, it's an ongoing process, but you're
Yeah,
actually learning the language of your
yeah,
body. Yeah,
yeah.
which is so awesome. And then I just want to talk to what is your relationship like now with food? For those people that, are where you were early in your journey with so much fear, what is your relationship now with food?
So kind of interesting because I was a big prior to. I didn't really restrict myself. Obviously, I'd eat whatever it is that I wanted, but not a lot of healthy choices in there aside from the meal prep for weight training. But lots of McDonald's, lots of Reese's, lots of just junk, right? Just junk processed food. And one thing that I remember thinking as I started to see it heal, my I guess initial view was, okay, when can I start getting back to junk food again? When can I start back into good tasting food? And that completely, that's I don't know who that person is anymore, because now I love my healthy food. I love my rotation of veggies. I love because now I don't know if my taste buds changed or something, but it tastes great to eat my red cabbage, my sweet potato, and my chicken. And knowing that I feel better. Now it's to the point where the opposite effect has happened. Occasionally I'm like, all right, let's have a little bit of these fries. And not that it just starts a cascade at all. I know my gut is fine and it handles it fine, but even that minor feeling of feeling off, I'm like, I don't want to eat junk food. Why did I eat that? I don't even like the taste of it. It was too salty. Like, why did I eat that? Like, I don't like it. To where I literally my entire palate has changed. I'll occasionally indulge in stuff if we're like at a social gathering and okay. But if I could, if it wasn't weird and socially acceptable, I'd bring my meals with me. I would just, yeah, okay, I'll eat in the restaurant. I'll eat my I love that I can rotate now. I love that there's no fear of what I can eat. That occasionally if I want to, sure, I'll eat that. Like on a birthday, whatever. But I love my staple foods in rotation that I'm now that's my mainstay and I don't plan to ever change it. Right? If my gut
Yeah.
adjusts and I have to, okay, fine, then I'll change it. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I love that those safe meals now, I guess.
I love that because you go full circle. Diana and I teach at the Gut Girls like the 80-20 rule, which is where we live, which is like 80% of the time you're eating clean and those healthy rotational foods, and 20% you can, celebrate a birthday.
Yeah.
And I think people want to start there. Like when people work with us, they're like, I want to be able to do that. And it's like, well, that's the goal. And you see guys, Marc Andre doing that. Like
Yeah.
that's his current life. But you also hear the process of where in the beginning, he did have to cut some things that he, like the healthy fibrous, I'm doing that in air quotes if you're not watching and just listening, but like he had to cut some of those fibrous foods to get the gut healed the same way Diana did in her journey and then bring them back in. I mean, I remember doing a reintroduction phase of food with you, Marc Andre. I mean, we went through the whole thing together,
Yep.
and coaching you on how to do that. And now look at you, like being able to help a friend or, whoever else comes your way to be like, hey, I've been there, I've done that. There's hope. It's just take it one day at a time. So, I mean, to hear you come full circle is amazing. I'm so proud of your journey, and it's still ongoing, obviously. But what are you the most proud of in your healing journey?
Um, I'll be honest, it's you kind of touched on it earlier. It's the ability to no longer feel fear. It's the that just like just gets me because I was scared for a long time, scared
Mm-hmm.
of what I would eat, scared of how I would sleep, scared of if I moved in a certain way, and to not have that anymore, to have new sensations I've never felt just because life happens, and not be afraid of it, not view everything as a threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was just constantly trying to do this, both physically and mentally, just constantly shielding, to whereas now I can just actually enjoy life, not exist. I think that's probably the biggest thing because fear is crippling, right? That's why it's very crippling for a lot of people. Even a lot of the things that I would have followed doctors and I would have been told that I have this disorder, I have anxiety disorder, I have this, to not actually have that and realize that I don't think I'll ever have any sort of concern with what comes up. It's just an adjustment process. Okay, how do we adjust if certain things ever do come up? And that knowing that, not that I'll never be sick, not that I'll never, but knowing, okay, there's just an adjustment and an adaptation that we'll have to do if certain things come up. It almost like makes you feel powerful of like, hey, I'm good. I can run through life and whatever shows up, all right, we'll figure it out. And I lost
Yeah.
that for years. That I was just I did not have that security. So
Oh my gosh, it like gives me goosebumps to hear you say that because so many listeners are just stuck. I mean, that's just it. They're
yeah.
stuck in that pattern. And so, oh my goodness, what an amazing. I mean, I'm so thankful for your time to share this with everyone. It's another powerful story just for you guys to know that like it transformation is absolutely possible. And again, knowing that it happens in a community, not in isolation. In fact, it's really in isolation that I think that fear creeps
Hmm.
in the most. And so to know that like working in a community, some people I think also hesitate because they're like, first of all, no one is going to understand. And then I don't necessarily want to share with other people. But it's interesting because I bet you that every listener today is relating to you. So, guys, when you come into a community and you share, it's trust me when I say you are not alone. Like, there are so many things that you are going to share in this community that other people are going to then be like, oh, someone else understands, someone else is feeling that, and it gives us the boldness to speak up, right? So Mark, is there anything else that I didn't give you the space for to say that you wanted to say before we end the podcast today?
Yeah, just very briefly, right? That kind of touching on what you said about the feeling alone thing. I think a lot of people end up desperate that no one hears me. No one hears me. No, that's kind of how I felt with my doctor. Like I'm not going to be heard, and this is it. I'm just eventually going to die, and no one will know what happened to me. Um, that there's no matter what it is that is super unique to you that no one understands. Um, Someone's gone through it. Someone's fixed it. Someone's healed it. There's no way is it an overnight fix, as much as we all wish it was. But I'm actually grateful it's not because I think it learns to teach you to trust. I think that's probably the biggest thing to not only trust in your case the gut girls, right? But to even trust your own body. I think a lot of times we lose trust in our body. We lose trust that our body can handle it. So I think the biggest thing is to know that truly someone has gone through it somewhere and they have healed it. Meaning you can. You just have to put a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust, and once it starts taking off, it just compounds. It's like interest. So I think that knowing that yeah, you're never alone, someone's there to guide you too.
Thank you so much. I mean, seriously, guys, I have goosebumps all over just listening to this. And it's coming, it's not even coming from us. It's coming from, a testimonial. We love when our members are able to like, I mean, basically, like we call you a mini gut girl, even though you're a gut man. We'll call you a mini gut man. Which is so funny because if you are listening, like you know that us as the Gut Girls primarily we do treat women because like I was saying even before we hit record, we are women, so we can relate to the women, the body, the woman's body, her experience in life. But guys, this is for honestly just anyone who is willing to take the step, right? That like you said, Marc Andre, that's just tired of living in that space and is just desperate, and when the pain of living in that space becomes so big, it kind of just pushes you out of it. Like you got to do something, you got to take that step. So this is for everyone out there who is listening. Share this podcast with family members and friends, and so that they can also experience this alongside us today. So thank you guys so much for your time and listening today. Please share this story, and we cannot wait to see you guys on the next Gut Girls podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The Gut Girls podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. We are not acting as licensed medical professionals. Always consult your doctor before making any changes to your health routine.